I had not yet built that relationship with the characters. So when I was crying at the end of that scene, when Ed's down on the ground and the tears are falling, he's crying, it was so... I was acting. I'm sorry. I was just acting. But a few episodes later, with that Bury the Chopper scene, I really got choked up in that scene. And it showed the side of Ed, you know, that I loved. That he really is a very frightened, very troubled, very angry, very bitter, hurt boy. And he and his little brother are thrust into something that's way bigger than them. So those moments are my favorite in Full Metal. Yes?
When are we going to see Full Metal fans?
You know what? I'm going to start showing it at some point.
Yes!
For those of you that are like, what is Full Metal Fantasy? Right after we started the show, right after we started recording, I got this idea to make a little fan film where I invited a lot of the other voice actors to cosplay as their characters. Yeah, your mind's already going there, right? And so my degree, my college degree is actually in film. So I do a lot of shooting and editing and directing and that kind of stuff. And so I made up this idea, excuse me, I made up this idea and we shot it. We shot it and I edited it and sound designed it and it's good. I'm just going to tell you, it's really funny and it's very entertaining and I've never seen anyone do anything like this. I've never seen any voice actors cosplaying as their characters and doing some kind of a parody like this. Excuse me. But shortly after I started showing it, like a year after I'd started showing it, and by the way, I didn't sell it. I didn't even offer it for money. I didn't put it on the internet. The only place you could see it was at conventions that I attended, and I would show it. Because I made it for the fans. It was basically a way of saying, I love this show as much as you do. And so about a year after I started showing it, Funimation, the legal people at Funimation expressed a concern that maybe it might tick the Japanese off somehow. That the people that own Full Metal might get mad that we made this live action thing. And I'm like, how is that possible? I mean, use common sense here. It promotes your show. How many times do you have your main characters so jazzed about your show that they're out making something like this? And it doesn't make fun of it in any way. It's very entertaining. So, but they were afraid that maybe it would be misinterpreted and that the Japanese thank you. That the Japanese would misinterpret it and be somehow offended. So they asked me, table it, please. Well, I like to work. So I tabled it. I did what they asked. But that was 2 years ago. So I'm very optimistic. At some point here, I'm going to start sharing it again. It won't be available for sale. I've had people offer me $1,000 for a copy of it.
Wow.
And it was tempting. It was. But at the end of the day, that would be wrong. And I promised myself that I made it as a labor of love for the fans, and it was never my intention to profit from it. So hopefully, keep your fingers crossed. I will look very forward to you guys getting to see that someday. Yes, sir. Ooh, what a great question. Hero or villain? Well, the good thing about playing the hero is he's usually the main character. And any actor is going to tell you, I have no problem playing the lead. I mean, you know, we love playing the big roles. However, a lot of times actors will also tell you that the bad guys are often more interesting to play. Sure. Fugazi, very much so. And I've played a lot of villains. I mean, you know, you guys may only know me for certain roles, but I mean, like I said, I've done over 100 animes, and a lot of them are bad guys. Not the majority probably, but they're bad guys. And you know, you have to have bad guys to have a story. Sometimes I get emails like, you're supposed to be this Mr. Christian guy, and how could you play a demon like Fugazi? I'm like, okay, first of all, it's a cartoon. Can we please keep a perspective here? You know, this is not a book to live your life by. It's entertainment. I often tell them, I know that there's not a galaxy far, far away with Darth Vader, but I can still enjoy it. You understand? I can enjoy it and keep it in its perspective as entertainment, without having it, like build my life on. And the other thing I say is, just because you play a role, that's called acting. It doesn't mean you are that person, Like when I come in, people don't go, "Hey, Ed." No, they understand. I'm Vic, and that was a character that I play. And, a lot of the sci-fi people complain about this. Like, fans calling them by their character name and stuff. But it's a role you play. It doesn't necessarily represent your feelings. I don't believe the same things that Ed does, for instance. But I can play the character. I often use this example. Even in a church program, even in a passion play, somebody has to play Judas. Does that mean that the nice man that's your deacon here, your Sunday school teacher playing, does that mean he's really Judas? Does that mean he really believes all that? He wants to betray the Lord? I mean, of course not, right? It's acting. So I don't really understand that kind of thing with acting, and with sometimes people thinking that, characters you play always reflect your feelings. And having said that, villains are a lot of times more fun to play. Because as you know, a lot of times with any good story, there's always more to it than meets the eye with the villains, right? Envy. Scar. Scar started out, I thought he was uber bad guy. And then you find out more about him. You know what I'm saying? Envy. I think Envy is one of the most tragic characters in Full Metal Alchemist. Once you know why that character behaves the way they do, you're like, okay, I get that. It's scary, but I get it. So bad guys are often more complex than heroes. In answer to your question, yes. How do I decide what a character's voice sounds like? That's a great question. I wish that I were Rich Little, but I'm not. I wish that I could change my voice so dramatically, they're like, who is that? But unfortunately, I have somewhat of a unique voice. You understand what I mean? Greg Ayres has a very unique voice. Monica Rial has a very unique voice. There are certain voice actors, their voices are pretty